Hey everyone, Daniel Multz from WTBU Sports here, giving you a quick update on what's going on in the world of sports with major news stories and headlines breaking across all four of the major American leagues. So let's get started with talking about what's going on in the National Football League. While the postseason may be pressing onward, the head coaching carousel and its many vacancies are starting to see those seats get filled. Entering this point in the season, and this point in the postseason here on January 15th, 2021, there were 7 head coaching vacancies across the National Football League, with those being the Detroit Lions, Atlanta Falcons, New York Jets, Jacksonville Jaguars, Houston Texans, Los Angeles Chargers, and the Philadelphia Eagles. 2 of those 7 seats got filled this past week. Let's start with the first of them, the New York Jets, who parted ways with head coach Adam Gase, a controversial hire to begin with, after he led the Jets to a tough season and then an abhorrent 2020 campaign in which, in both seasons, they produced one of the 3 and arguably the worst offense in the entire National Football League. They've taken a different direction, officially hiring 49ers defensive coordinator Robert Saleh, signing him, the 41-year-old, to a 5-year contract. Saleh worked wonders with the 49ers defense, putting together a lethal unit that carried San Francisco to the Super Bowl last season, where they unfortunately fell short to the Kansas City Chiefs. But more impressively, Saleh was able to keep the 49ers defense in the top 10 in the NFL in 2020 in both passing and rushing yards allowed and first downs allowed. 3 pretty important statistics. He kept them in the top 10 in all 3 categories, despite the fact that they had taken some significant hits on defense, namely in the front 7 with defensive lineman Nick Bosa and Solomon Thomas, but they were certainly not the only ones. Nevertheless, Saleh is a huge change in direction for the New York Jets, and he will hopefully bring new light and big changes to a coaching regime and a team that desperately needs it. Now to the other team, a team in equal disarray over the last few years, and that is the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have taken a different approach to this situation, hiring former Ohio State head football coach Urban Meyer. This pick being a little bit more controversial simply for the fact that Meyer has no coaching experience in the National Football League, certainly no head coaching experience. But if there's anybody who knows a lot about winning, it's him, with 3 FBS championships along with 3 Big Ten championships all at Ohio State. It's clear that Meyer knows what it takes to win, but we have to see, as football fans, and certainly all Jaguars fans out there need to see, if he has what it takes to win in the NFL, as we have seen in the past with other college football star head coaches. Translating to the NFL and achieving the same level of success is not a guarantee. But with an elite quarterback prospect almost locked to go their way at the number 1 overall pick in the draft, we'll have to see if Meyer and whichever prospect they choose, in all likelihood Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence, can start to take off right away in 2021, or if the rebuild has just begun and this flight will take a long time to reach its peak. Now to Major League Baseball, where the ever-increasingly slowing process of offseason free agency finally saw its first big player come off the board this offseason. It took until January of 2021 for the first of the high-profile free agents to sign somewhere. And for all Yankee fans out there, including myself, it is good news that star infielder DJ LeMahieu has signed a 6-year, $90 million contract to return to the Yankees. The team's MVP from each of the last 2 seasons was long rumored to be heading elsewhere after growing increasingly frustrated with the Yankees and his inability to get closer to agreeing on terms, both in terms of number of years and the amount of money to get paid. And after LeMahieu had begun seriously considering offers from other teams, the Yankees finally stepped up, and they may not have given him the amount of money that he may have wanted, but 6 years, given that LeMahieu will be entering his age 33 season, is a nice long-term guarantee. And at least for the short term, while he's still playing at this elite level, Yankee fans can relax. But for the rest of the high-profile free agents out there, namely catcher JT Realmuto, outfielder George Springer, and starting pitcher Trevor Bauer, their markets remain stagnant as they seek incredibly high deals when most teams out there either don't want to pay them that much or can't pay them that much. The one piece of good news in the MLB offseason world is that the market for pitchers, both starters and relievers, in the grand scheme of things, is finally starting to heat up. And that should hopefully be good news for these players who have been waiting for months at this point to find out where they're going to play next season, or in some cases, just if they're going to play next season. Next to the NBA, where we saw one of the biggest blockbuster trades finally go down, the Brooklyn Nets finally pulling the trigger on a deal that was rumored to be going on for months, and that was the acquisition of Houston Rockets star and 3-time NBA scoring champion James Harden. Harden had wanted to get out of Houston for a long time, given that their situation was, in his own words, beyond fixing despite his efforts and everything that has gone on in that organization. Harden, as we know, along with Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson, is not the only Houston star athlete who thinks that organizations in that city are just not being run the right way. He wanted out, and he finally got it after very publicly expressing how disgruntled he felt with the organization. Now he's in Brooklyn, along with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, if Kyrie can take the court again with all of his off the court shenanigans going on. Nevertheless, the Nets now have 3 star players on the court at the same time, selling off their entire future to win now. And if it works, then nobody's going to complain or have anything to say. But with 2 personalities in that locker room now, in Harden and Irving, 2 guys who always love to stuff the stat sheets and always have something to say, we have to see if their personalities, along with the stardom of Kevin Durant and the rest of the media spotlight on Brooklyn, will mesh together and form a super team, or if this trade will blow things up in an instant. Only time will tell. And lastly, to conclude the National Hockey League, just kicking off its 2021 season, not much to say here yet. One really noteworthy point being that New York Rangers' #1 overall draft pick from this past year, Alexis Lafreniere, was held to no points in the New York Rangers' 4-0 season-opening loss to their arch-rival New York Islanders. That's all that's going on here in the world of sports. An incredibly busy week. Hopefully we see more busy weeks like this as the NFL season winds down, baseball free agency starts to heat up, and the NBA and NHL continue to hit their strides. Until then, I'm Daniel Multz for WTB Sports, and we'll talk to you soon.